Hopefully we're live here. Thank you guys for braving it out to the end of the day with us. Basically, wanted to give you guys a really quick overview. I know we're stretched on time here, but to give you guys an idea of what CRMLS does and how we handle what we call syndication, which is the delivery of your listing data to third-party websites. CRMLS is what we call an opt-in organization or an opt-out organization. For your listings to show up on most of the internet websites out there, it takes action at the broker level. And what the agreement signified that we signed with the Zillow Group is that there have been some changes in the industry as far as brokerage's ability to deliver data to the Zillow Group specifically. And the board of directors met in January and approved staff and the organization as a whole to step up and fill the gaps that were going to be created in the April timeframe. And we did so, and you guys are going to be receiving a lot more communication that I'm sure you'll all read, right? Please, thank you. About how to send your information, your listing information, to the various places that you choose. I will tell you that there is one caveat in the CRMLS system amongst the two individuals that are sitting up here, and I'll go through introductions a little bit later. CRMLS does deliver all of the listing data within our system to the Realtor.com website. And we have done so for an extended period of time, since the mid-90s. And it is something that the board of directors feels comfortable with, and we do feel that our brokerage community does deserve a level of choice in the way that their listing information is distributed. I know that there has been some controversy. I like the individual on our Facebook page that called the Zillow Group Satan, and I will give Curt the opportunity to respond to that. But given the time constraints, I just wanted to touch on how CRMLS is delivering data, what we're doing, and how we're doing it. With that, we want this to be an informational session. We don't want this to be controversial in that we have two very big competitors in the online real estate information world that are facing off with each other on a day-to-day basis. What we really want is for them to give you an idea of who it is that they are. There's been a lot of changes. Zillow and Trulia now have merged. The Move.com was acquired by, who you were acquired by? News Corp, yeah. I remember that. And so there's been a lot of changes, and I think you guys deserve to know what those changes are and what they mean. So with that, I'm going to turn to Russ Cofano first and give him the first opportunity to answer. Give me an idea of, and actually let me go through introductions first. I have to my immediate left is Russ Cofano, who is Senior VP of Industry Relations for Move, which is the operator of Realtor.com. And to his left, I have Curt Beardsley, who is Vice President of Industry Relations for the Zillow Group, the newly named Zillow Group, which includes Zillow and Trulia. And with that, I'm going to turn to Russ and give Russ the first opportunity. Explain to us who Move is. Explain to us how Realtor.com works, and just really give people an idea of the organization that you work for, what it is that it does.
Thank you. Hey, Curt. So opportunities like this give us the ability to explain some things that are going on, but also kind of go back in time. If you bear with me a minute, to myth bust a little bit, because there's all sorts of chatter on social media. You can see your Facebook page on the Satan thing, but about what does it mean that Move was acquired by News Corp, and now things have changed, and there's the agreement with NAR is no longer valid, just a bunch of stuff. So if we go all the way back to the mid-90s, the NAR started a program called, or a platform called RIN. It was a Realtors Information Network. It was an interesting concept at the time to get listings displayed actually in kiosks. And so they started down this path and realized that this idea of this internet was just beginning in the mid-90s. Was kind of complicated and maybe a little bit beyond the expertise and what the NAR had. And so instead of continuing on that path, NAR found the initial folks at a company called Real Select. And they said, you guys maybe can have the technical expertise to operate this website called Realtor.com, which was a website by and for the industry. And so that was essentially the beginning of Realtor.com. It was essentially operated by Real Select under what's called the operating agreement. Maybe you've heard about the operating agreement, but started in the mid-90s, 1996. And then Real Select became Home Store. Home Store went public. Home Store operated in that capacity until they changed their name to a company called Move. Again, exactly the same company, just a name change. And Move operated as an independent public company, again, with the same operating agreement that's been in place for many years, until November of 2014. And in November 2014, News Corp, which is a company, if you want to research them, you can go to Yahoo Finance and look up NWSA, and you can see all sorts of great stuff about what the News Corp company is. But they're a digital media giant, about a $9 billion company. They have media assets across the world, not just the United States. They operate a website in Australia, the leading real estate portal called realestate.com.au, very successful portal, in a different model than ours. And a lot of people say, well, you're going to be REA. We're not going to be REA. But when we got acquired by News Corp, that same agreement that's been in place since the mid-90s didn't change. Still in place. And so what's happened is now, instead of a new relationship with the NAR, or that relationship going away, it's the same, and we're now owned by a company that has, one, significant financial resources, which is good because it enables us to do some things that, because of financial resources prior to the merger, we really couldn't, which is good. And second, it gives us the ability to leverage the media assets that News Corp brings to the table. So the Wall Street Journal is a News Corp asset. Barron's is a News Corp asset. They have tons of United States and worldwide publications that we're now leveraging both ways. We're giving content to them, and they're giving content back to us. And just in, I think the merger closed in, or the acquisition closed in the month of November. We're about 3 or 4 months into it. And in the month of January, our unique user account had the most significant month-over-month gain. We added 10 million unique users to our site because of organic traffic generated by the combination of assets that we're getting from News Corp. So from a traffic standpoint, getting more people to the listings, to your listings that are on Realtor.com, it's really good. From an asset standpoint, a resource standpoint, it's really good. And it didn't do anything to the protections that have been in place since the mid-1990s in the context of our relationship with Realtor.com in order to use their brand, your brand, in marketing real estate on the internet.
Have you met Mr. Murdoch as of yet?
I've not met Mr. Murdoch, but I have met Robert Thompson. And I will tell you, throughout the organization, they are really, really bright people. And to a T. A lot of people have sort of asked Mr. Murdoch, asked Robert Thompson, asked everybody at News Corp the same question. Do you intend to change the name? And the answer consistently, programmatically, all the way along is we don't. We bought Realtor.com, we bought Move, not in spite of the name, but because of the name. They truly believe in the role that the realtor plays in the transaction. They believe in the value that the realtor provides and that service that you provide to customers, especially once the relationship connects online to the offline relationship, and they intend to support that. So it's been a great relationship so far, and we expect it to continue.
Curt, most people out in the audience probably don't know that in a former life Curt was Russ. So Curt did come from Realtor.com and is now working for Satan, is that what,
Now you agreed to say it like the church lady.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I badly failed at that. And, I didn't want to be on camera badly failing at it. So, Curt, tell us a little bit about the Zillow Group and its recent formation and what that means to the realtors in the audience.
Yeah, so the Zillow Group is a technology-enabled media company. And we have 4 brands. The brands that you're obviously very familiar with is Zillow. And we also have another brand called HotPads. And if you're in the rental space, it's the #1 rentals site out there. And if you happen to be in Manhattan, you would know a site called StreetEasy. It's the dominant site in the New York market. The New York market may be only one city, but it works completely different than anything else. And so we have a dominant site that is there. And then quite recently, actually, with the government's approval in February, we added another brand to our portfolio, and that is Trulia. Now, when I say brand, what does that mean? It means that Trulia will actually exist, and so will Zillow, and they will be separate identities. They will be separate sites out there. They will actually compete with each other for traffic and begin to hone each other's skills, figure out how they can reach that consumer's audience. Because as a media company, our goal, like any media company, is to create content, is to create an experience that delights the consumer, engages the consumer, pulls them in, and then has them engage with the advertisers that are on our site. So if you think of a television show, how do you get more advertisers on your site? Well, you have better writers, you have better actors, you have better content, you get a better position in the nightly lineup, and then there are more people that watch it, and you have more high-quality advertisers on the site. We're exactly the same way. So our goal is to build experiences that are fantastic, that are great, that capture the consumer's attention, that pull the consumers in, engage them, and then have them connect with a professional so they can complete their transaction and go along with their lives of owning homes. So our whole idea is to use the technology that we have to enable us to build these fantastic experiences and capture this wide consumer audience. And we captured in January about 86 million unique consumers on Zillow, and another 50 if we add in Trulia. So I think we may actually have more page views than Satan.
And how many homes were transacted in the United States last year?
There were roughly, 3.8 million.
And over 100 million uniques. What else are they doing on your site?
So
obviously they're not all buying homes.
No, they're actually, a large number of them are looking at rentals as well. And so we are, again, fairly large in the rental space. They are investigating the communities, they're looking at schools. They're actually looking at their own homes, because Zillow started with the idea that let's open up, let's turn the screen around. Let's take information that was somewhat hidden in public record systems and in databases that were difficult to get access to, and let's make a great experience around it. Let's turn the screen around and let the consumer see it. And so when Zillow started about 7 years ago, for the first 2 years of its existence, it didn't even have any listings on it. It was 100% public record data with its estimates and a few other things on there. So people could actually go in there and get an experience of neighborhoods, understand properties, understand their own home, their communities, schools, and everything else, without even actually looking at homes for sale. It was actually about 3 years into its existence that we began to have listings on there and added for sale content. So a large part of Zillow's audience are people who are actually looking at neighborhoods and homes. They're sellers who are actually researching prior to selling, and those are advertisement spots for people who want to connect with that audience, and so they can actually be in front of them when they're on there, because there's 110, 120 million residential properties in the United States. At any given time, only about 3 million of them are for sale, and so there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of space out there for media, for content creation, for connection with consumers that are even beyond the scope of listed properties.
Talk a little bit about internet marketing, and I'll let you take the first swipe at it. There's some unknown told thousands of dollars a month that are being spent in this audience on internet marketing. Why is it important, and why is the Zillow Group the go-to destination for their marketing dollars?
So it's interesting, driving here, I went by some signs out there that said something about the historic Route 66. And I don't know if you know anything about Route 66, but it was started in 1926, and it went from Chicago all the way to Santa Monica. It was America's highway, right? It was where it carried everybody west. It was the way to travel. But over time, pieces of it got replaced by the interstate system that was developed in the 50s. And actually by the 1990s, in 1985, it was actually removed from the federal highway system and was no longer a designated highway. Now for all of the years that it carried traffic, it built up along its borders along its towns, stops for people, the restaurants and hotels and motels and cities and towns. And as it begins to dry up, some of those begin to blow away as well. Now this area here looks very vibrant, but I'm an avid motorcycle rider, and I've ridden most of Highway 66 over my career, and I've gone through some of those towns. And we can look at that story and say, wow, that is sad, these towns dried up, and we can watch movies like Cars, and we can get sentimental about it. But the truth is, the people who still travel, and they still have exactly the same needs as they had before. They still have to have a place to stay, they still have to have a place to eat, they still have to have a place to get gas, they still have to have a place for their cars. All they did is they moved to a different place. And for the businesses that captured the idea that it wasn't that the travelers were going away, they were simply just now going on a different route. And if I can move over to that new route, and I can capture them in that new place that they are, I can continue to service those customers. And what happened in our world is this. This happened. And in the last 10 years, what has happened is the consumer audience has simply moved from what would be considered the Route 66 of our generation, which is newspaper and print, and even to a certain degree, the website. And they have flocked to that new highway, which they now have in their pocket. And the truth is, those same consumers who used to go to those other forms of media are now moving online, but they have exactly the same needs. They still need to list a house. They still need to buy a house. They still need someone to guide them through that process. And what Zillow did very early is realize that yes, there's a shift. There's a shift of people from this old 2-lane to the 8-lane that's being built. And we need to set up shop there and capture those consumers the way they want. And we do it very, very simple. It's very difficult to implement. But we say to the consumer when they come to our site, we will try to answer any question that you have. If you have a question and you want to ask it or you want to explore it, we will try to find a way to answer it. So if you want to know what your house is worth, we will try to answer that question. If you want to connect with a professional, we'll make sure that they're available for you to connect with. If you want to see information on schools, here it is. If you want to see every single property that's in the market, regardless if it's listed through professional real estate or not, we will try to get that in front of you. Builder information or rentals or however it is. And that is what the new consumer wants. And yes, they still have the same needs. They still need a professional to walk them through the rest of that transaction. And we are there to connect with them, and that's how we make money. We sell advertisement opportunities for people who want to connect with that audience. But what Zillow is the equivalent of the interstate that bypassed the old Route 66, and that's where we set up shop.
And why are you not the enemy?
Because it's all about choice. Brokers have a choice whether or not they want their listings on Zillow. And to Art's point earlier, it made a very, very easy way to do that. You can go to the system that they're setting up, click the button, your listings show up there. If you don't want them, unclick the button, the listings go away. It is simply about a broker's choice. You can decide if you want to be there. And also you can decide if you want to advertise or not. It is for some people, the people who get it, who can respond to those consumers who want to be engaged. It is maybe not for everybody there. But what we did decide is that even if you're a listing agent and you've gone out and you have sweated to get that listing and you go to stick it on Zillow, even if you do not pay us, you should have the opportunity to capture a consumer. And so part of the deal that we did with Art is every single listing that flows to our site through the system that CRMLS is setting up will have a listing agent guaranteed in the top position on their page. So every listing agent will automatically have the top spot on every single one of their listings within that system for free as part of that, and because the consumer should have choice. Not only should the real estate industry have choice of whether they engage with the site or not, but the consumer should have choice on who they want to contact, how they want to contact them, how they want to actually decide where they engage with a real estate professional.
Russ, what is Curt smoking?
Curt's a good guy. We've been friends for a long time, but we are competitors, and we do things a bit different. So, totally agree. The brokerage industry should have choice. It's a great time to be in the brokerage industry. One, you got a good market. Most places actually have inventory. I'm not sure you guys have inventory down here, but it's a good market. We've recovered from recession. People are making money, and online marketing, in our opinion, should be a part of, not exclusively, except there are a few people that do just solely online marketing, but a part of the consideration for most real estate professionals that are doing business. And so we both connect this broad base of funnel. I'm not going to have this cool analogy like Highway 66, but there's a bunch of people out on the internet that are not ready to talk with you yet, right? We know that. They don't go to broker websites or agent websites first when they're first looking. They want to be anonymous. And so there's this big pool out there, and they come into the funnel, and we both enable connection between those people out there and what we call unaffiliated buyers, buyers that don't have a relationship with a real estate professional, a realtor, to that realtor. How we do it is a little differently. And this kind of goes to this idea of, I mean, we throw around the word partnership all the time. And we think that partnership is more than just a fancy word for customer. We think partnership actually means something. It means something in the context of our relationship with the industry. Partnership is one, alignment with the business of the partners. Not wanting to displace them, not wanting to marginalize them, and recognizing everybody's need to make money in that relationship. So we have two products. We have Showcase. So if you're a listing agent or listing broker, you can buy Showcase. And what Showcase does is it basically makes the branding and the lead form on that listing go exclusively to you as a listing agent or listing broker. There's no other advertising. It's all you. And basically, it portrays the listing as you want it to be portrayed. Now, I think Zillow does the same thing. Now, here's a fundamental difference. On the Zillow listing, right, there's a thing called a Zestimate. Now, when you showcase that listing, who do you represent? You represent the seller, right? Okay, so you represent the seller. You want the leads off that to come to you, no doubt about it. And we don't put Zestimates on our for sale listings. And there's a reason why. Because we believe the real estate professional, you all, are the best person to value that property. I was in the broker's office yesterday. This happens all the time. Broker's office, they said, pull up one of our listings on John L. Scott. And so pulled up their listing, right? And did that, and then we looked at the corresponding listing on Zillow. The list price of that property, original list price, was in the 1.5 range. I won't give the exact number. The Zillow's estimate was $700,000. And so now you're the listing agent, and you have to go talk to your seller about why you listed it at $1.5 million when Zillow says it's worth $700,000. Now I know that's not average, and Zillow publishes records. There's some stuff out there about what the average discrepancy is, but the question is, does that make your life better, easier, or harder as a listing agent? We think it makes it harder, right? The other product we sell is what's called Connection for Co-Broker. That's when you're not the listing agent and you want to be, maybe you're a buyer's agent. You can be a listing agent, but some of our listing agents don't buy Showcase. That means that there's other listings that can be, the leads on those given to other agents. On the co-brokerage connections, we respect the listing agent's branding. In other words, there's no 3, 4, 9 heads. It's still the listing agent, listing broker's branding. In fact, we just made a change where the listing agent, listing broker now right underneath the photo. So there's no question that even on listings that you don't buy or pay us any money on Realtor.com, we give you as listing agent, listing broker attribution. But the leads in a co-broker scenario go to other agents who buy that zip code, if you will. Why is our product better? Well, we do surveys, and not only we do surveys, there's some other researchers that are quote-unquote neutral that have said, who delivers the best leads? And consistently, Realtor.com delivers the best leads. In other words, does Zillow provide leads? Absolutely. We provide leads? Absolutely. But if you're a buyer's agent and you're using online marketing, is it better to close one deal off of 10 leads or one deal off of 100 leads? And the answer is, you know what, those 90 extra leads that don't turn into anything because they're not really buyers, the question is, what's the value of that? Well, it's just time spent. And we consistently perform better than our competitors, both Trulia and Zillow, as our research and others' research indicates, on the quality of leads. And quality being, does that person actually buy a home? And so one has to question, right? And again, our research indicates that when people are out playing around and want to see valuations and other things, they go to all sorts of sites. But when they're really serious about buying a home, when they're really ready to buy that home, they go to Realtor.com. And that's why our leads are better, they transact better, and the value proposition is better. And I would suggest, no matter whether you use us or Zillow or anybody else, make sure you do your return on investment analysis, that what you're spending actually pencils out. If it doesn't pencil, then you shouldn't be doing it.
Counterpoints, Curt?
You should be on all the sites. And getting as much as you possibly can. On Zillow, however, if you don't want to pay anything, as a listing agent, you still have the ability to get a lead. You're still there. And you can still set up a profile, and you can fill out your profile, and you can have consumers come in and engage with you and tell the rest of the world how good you are. We just passed a milestone on Zillow.
Curt, the answer question for both of you guys.
Yeah.
Are you willing to put restrictions into your system that the profile photos have been taken within the last 3 years?
You know what? We have a huge consumer audience that actually will mention that, because we allow feedback on our profile pages, and so people do have to keep a little bit honest there. They'll say, "I didn't recognize you, but you were my agent," as they fill in. We just passed the 1 million mark on reviews, where agents went out and got their own reviews on the site. And so, you know, but I think at the bottom line, I think you had a panel this morning, for those of you who have endured this all day, that was the Hear It Direct, where you had a bunch of consumers up here who are in the process of buying and selling homes, and you hear what they say. You hear the sites that they want to go to. You hear the sites that they are using. And part of that is because we have geared it for what they want. And with this estimate, why do we have this estimate on a listed property? Because you know what happens if we take it away? If the minute the listing it becomes an active listing and we pull this estimate off, what's the consumer think? The realtors are hiding something from us again. So once it goes to an active status, we're going to pull that away. Again, that's not what you want to have left in the consumer's mind. And so you see the engagement with the consumers, you see how they interact with the site, you get the ability to connect with them for free as a listing agent on every one of those. And I think that you should actually, there are free products on both of our platforms. There's on the Zillow and the Trulia platform, that's free on the Realtor.com. And for those of you who are dipping your toe into this new sort of stream of internet marketing, take advantage of every free thing that there is. Get your profile set up. Make sure that your picture is there. Make sure that you have grabbed a hold of every advantage you possibly can, because it will actually generate you business. It will actually generate you leads on it. It will be that first step to setting up business on that new highway that's running.
You're willing to guarantee that?
We actually deliver thousands.
Sorry, I had to ask.
In fact, we'll send you now a weekly report now with your new agreement we have of exactly what we have delivered.
Russ, I asked the question of Curt as to why they're not the enemy. Why is Realtor.com, Move.com, the new ownership structure, why are you not the enemy?
Well, a couple of reasons. One, we have this relationship with the Realtor Association that is perpetual. It means it never goes away unless one party doesn't do what they're supposed to do. And that limits us in what we can do. We will never, ever get into the brokerage business. And I mean, if people have asked Zillow, you know, is this where you're going? And they say, well, it's not our intention to get into the brokerage business. The bottom line is we could never do that. If anybody here has not read Spencer Rascoff's book, I encourage you to do it. I encourage you to do it because it's instructive about his, and I think it transcends to Zillow's perspective on real estate. The word real estate brokerage is used one time in that book, and it references Berkshire Hathaway's acquisition of their franchise. The word realtor is never used in reference to you all, ever. And real estate professional is used, but sparingly. What it's about is empowering consumers to do a whole bunch of different things. And you know, we look at this business as being partners with the real estate industry. We are Realtor.com. We're not going to be in your business. We want to help you be successful. And so, are we the enemy? Absolutely not. Are we going to do things always that this industry loves? Probably not. Because I've been around this business for more than 25 years. And the one thing that I will say is there are some things that this business needs to be pushed on a little bit to be more consumer-oriented. And we want to help you do it, but do it in a way that is aligned with your business and not aligned to take your business away from you.
Both of these gentlemen have flights to catch to LAX, so I'm trying to be sensitive to their time, but I do want to ask one last question. Very quickly, I'll let Curt go first. What are some of the new things that are coming out from the Zillow Group that are going to help individuals in this audience sell more homes?
So one of the things that we launched last year, but we're putting an expanded effort around this year, is called our Tech Connect program. And our Tech Connect program is where we take data that we have or elements of information on Zillow, and we pump that out of our site. The first one was Tech Connect CMA. So if you use any CRM product, you use Cloud CMA, if you use Suite, if you use Sugar or BombBomb or any of those CRM systems, you can actually go onto Zillow, connect your CRM, and we will automatically dump the leads the minute they come in through the system directly into your CRM. I think we have 43 different platforms that we are now connected with, and we even connect, I believe, with Top Producer if that agreement has gone through. And so we'll dump our leads into that. We've then expanded that to have the Tech Connect reviews. So if you're a broker or if you're an agent and you have reviews on Zillow, you can actually pull those reviews off of Zillow and actually publish those on your own site. So if you've had consumers come in and say great things about you, rate you, you can actually, as a brokerage, pull those off and actually put them on your own site. And then the last thing, which we just launched this last week, is Tech Connect reporting. And so all of the traffic, all the metrics data on our site that has anything to do with your listings, we would then have a way for you to pump that out, connect that into a reporting system that now the vendors are just starting to get built up around that. MLSs are on board with that, brokerages are starting on board, but I think by the end of this year there'll be even more vendors on board with importing that data, giving you tools to see how exactly your listings are doing on. So that's our expanse, is getting data out of our system. We're a media company. We want to make sure that people get a hold of the information that we generate and can use it back in their businesses.
Russ.
Write this down, Realtor.com/profile. Realtor.com/profile. We launched a new profile back in the fall. It's spectacular, and that's just version 1. What it includes is it basically is this mobile responsive design. So it looks great on a desktop computer, but it looks just as well on a tablet or on a mobile phone. And again, we know that buyers are mobile these days. So it includes your listing inventory, your sold inventory, as long as we're getting that from the MLS. Are we getting your sold? I hope we are.
We need to talk.
Okay. We need to go through that process because it's spectacular. Connections with social networks, check-ins, a recommendation engine that's connected to both LinkedIn, Real Satisfied, if you use Real Satisfied, as well as Zone recommendation engine. And this year, for those of you who may have missed it, NAR in November at their board meeting adopted a framework for ratings and reviews that would be very industry friendly. And so we're working very closely with the NAR our hope is sometime very soon, don't have a date, but roll out ratings and reviews in a way that is extremely beneficial to this industry, because at the end of the day, they're a part of our life. Consumers want to have ratings. All of you probably use some sort of rating service, whether it's Yelp or something else in the context of your daily lives, and consumers are no different in the context of you. But this is going to be done, again, in a in a way that is fair, objective, and allows consumers to search and find people on a whole different realm of characteristics beyond just listing inventory and production, because we know that good realtors are not always the realtors that just do the most production. Realtors can be wonderful realtors with just doing a few deals, and we want those people to be highlighted just as well as the heavy producers.
Can we take a question or two from the audience? Is there any questions for the group? Yes?
I'm not sure how to ask this or how it necessarily applies, but I'm just concerned with lately in my farm area, you see the Redfin, open house signs and what have you, and so I'm just concerned. Look, I'm a very basic person in that I'm CAR all day and realtor.com all day and realtor.org. As far as Zillow is concerned, I'm not sure I'm giving it all the weight because I just don't have time, but how are you leaning toward that in terms of going to be able to start providing consumers with their own marketing materials or for sale by owners with their own marketing and their own abilities to try and do our job, or how do they fit into this mix, I guess, is a general question.
So
For Zillow?
Yeah.
I can draw a line between Redfin. I think the comparison was Redfin. Redfin's a broker. So they have a brokerage license. They operate as a broker. They do a lot of referrals. And given the number of agents they have versus the amount of traffic they have, a lot of their business is referral. And so they are a broker in the vein of a lot of the other brokers that are out there. We are not. In fact, one of the things that you can talk about in your agreement we signed is one of the things that we put into that agreement is a non-compete. We will not be an MLS. We will not be a brokerage. We have no interest in becoming one. We actually know the Redfin model fairly well. There are four buildings from us in Seattle. But we are a media company. And as a media company, our goal is to attract an audience and not do a referral business, but actually sell advertising spots and locations. So that's what we're all about. Much like a billboard on the side of the freeway. So no, we are not going to be doing marketing materials or promo stuff for home. We're not in the business of brokerage. We're in the business of generating a consumer audience. And I do agree with Russ. You should read Spencer's book. It does do something. It tells you the mind of the consumer. And that is where Zillow is. We are looking at the mind of the consumer. But that mind of that consumer is that person on that 8-lane highway that's zipping by. It has changed. And so the whole purpose of that is to explore that what the consumers are interested in and how to capture that.
One more. Yes.
Curt, this is for you. Any, I know you guys are studying, you guys are in that, that Silicon Valley. Any word of Google Homes coming out, possibly? Any word of anything scary like a Facebook Homes or Google Homes that could scare you? And, that's something that keeps me up at night.
So we're actually based in Seattle. So don't have too much silicon on us. But we do have an office, obviously, in San Francisco, and obviously much larger now with Trulia, because that's where their headquarters is. Interestingly enough, Google made its step into that with Google Base a few years ago. Facebook had their Facebook Marketplace. They stepped their toe into it. And what they all realized is something that we actually do very well that they do not do at all, and that's vertical search. Now, the minute you actually get into a narrow category and begin to try to do deep search into a narrow category, it takes specialization, it takes access to information, it takes a focus on that the guys who do horizontal search are not very good at. And so you have something like Google that actually, they have the capability, from a technical standpoint, but they simply don't have the focus on it. And so I think that you'll always have vertical search. That's why Amazon, vertical search in basically things you buy. eBay, vertical search in effectively, everything that's in your garage that you didn't want anymore. Craigslist in a similar fashion. So there are always those deep vertical search markets that Google is a good entry point to get to them. Often someone will go to Google and they'll put in the address of a home in order to get to Zillow, or they'll put in a product to get to Amazon. So they use it as that launching spot. But no, we haven't seen any movement from the big search portals that they're actually going to start getting deeper into vertical search.
Russ, anything from your standpoint on
Well, we are Silicon Valley, and we've heard none of that either. So but I think the players, Google will have some presence down the road. It won't be to compete with our business, but it might be an extension of our business.
With that, I want to thank everybody for their patience. This really is a topic that we could literally spend hours on. And I do appreciate the time that Curt and Russ have given to us. And I want everybody to give them a nice round.